watching Fox 13's Good Day Tampa Bay.
Jennifer Epstein, oh, this is going to be fun. Speaking of nostalgia, in fact, I wonder if they have any toys here of those monster movies. I'm going to take you to, it just got dark. I think we just lost a street light.
Oh.
Just got a lot darker here. Sorry, hopefully you can see. We're going to take you to, well, fortunately he parked his truck here if you can't see the building. Big Redhead Vintage Toys. Can you guess what color hair the gentleman has who owns this store? Big Redhead Vintage Toys. Yes, indeed. This is a vintage toy shop right here in Seminole Heights. We're on Florida Avenue, just south of Hillsborough. If you grew up at all in the 70s, 80s, or 90s especially, oh my goodness, walking in this shop is like walking into your childhood. I'm going to show you some great nostalgic toys, especially from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. He's got plenty of affordable toys in here, but yeah. Jen, he's got some of these rare finds. He has a stack already that he wants to show on TV. It's about $100,000 worth of merchandise and about 4 or 5 toys. Wow. Some of this most rare, some of these things are going for tens of thousands of dollars. He even has some boxes that old toys were shipped in, and people are now collecting those. Cardboard boxes, people are collecting and paying hundreds of dollars. So
they're buying just the box.
A brown cardboard box that just says G.I. Joe aircraft carrier on the side of it that was shipped to a toy store somewhere. If you still have that, it's now worth hundreds of dollars.
Wow.
It's going to blow your mind. Going to tell you all about it. Big Redhead Vintage Toys and Comics right in Seminole Heights. This is where we're going to have a good day, Tampa Bay.
All right, Charlie, looking forward to it. Mummy.
Good day to you, Walter. And Jennifer, you and I in the last segment, we were just talking about the Universal Monster movies. Oh, well, look at this lunchbox I found here. And look, there's the Mummy. That movie was released on this date, 1937. Yeah, I love this old vintage lunchbox with all the Universal movie monsters. This is the sort of nostalgia you will find at Big Redhead Vintage Toys and Comics. Stepping into the store is literally like stepping into my childhood. And if you grew up with the 70s, 80s, or 90s especially, you're going to recognize all sorts of things here and probably regret throwing them away at one point. Stick around, everybody. We're having a good day in Seminole Heights, hanging out with Big Redhead Vintage Toys.
Hey, Charlie.
Good day to you, Walter and Jennifer. Let me tell you a story.
Okay.
So like in the late 60s, if you were a businessman and you were out flying across the country doing your job, and then you were coming home and, you forgot to get the kid a present, so you'd go race to the airport, you could always buy this. If you're flying United Airlines, they actually sold this in airports. Now imagine you're the businessman, then you're getting on the plane, like, what do you do? Go back to, he's smoking a heater, by the way. He's smoking a heater and ordering a martini that comes in a glass at the same time. It was the late 60s, folks. You could buy this. And look at this, United Airlines. This is really cool. I love old toys, and so I'm coming to the right place. Big Redhead Vintage Toys and Comics. Got some no new comics, but if they're old and valuable, he's probably got them. We're gonna check in with Red himself. Seminole Heights, Big Redhead Vintage Toys and Comics. Stick around and let's have a good day, Tampa Bay. Good day, Tampa Bay. Happy Thursday to you. I'm Charlie Belcher coming to you from Seminole Heights this morning, 5120 North Florida Avenue to be exact. Just south of Hillsborough Avenue, you will find Big Redhead Vintage Toys and Comics, and there's Red himself.
Hey, guys. How's it today?
You by Red, or do you don't go by Big Redhead?
No, just Red. Just Red. I used to be big. Now I'm not so big.
I know.
So
congratulations. I met you many years ago, and now you're just you're medium red at best.
Normal red, I
Normal
guess.
redhead.
Yeah.
That's not as much fun. All right, Red, tell me about the shop. You've been in the collectible business for a while, whether comics, toys. Did this just, you never gave up your childhood?
Pretty much. I mean, it started as a hobby, and it just kind of grew from there. Like I said, I had a typical 9-to-5 job right out of college, and I did it for 5-10 years, but always in the back, always did collecting a little bit, and little bit by little bit, it built up, and then I started doing conventions. That was successful, and then we opened a shop about 8 years ago.
How do you describe your shop? You're obviously vintage toys, but vintage is that could be a toy from the 1920s, or and now a toy from the 1990s. what's your specialty?
Vintage toys is going to be more for us from the stuff that's from the decades of the 70s through the early 90s. Getting too deep into the 90s is a little bit too modern for us, but we do carry a few items from that as well. And then if you go back too far, like you said, like the 20s and 30s, that's almost considered antique now.
Sure. No, I guess it is, yeah. So, yeah, it's definitely if you grew up in the 70s, 80s, 90s, you're going to recognize your childhood inside the store.
Oh, yeah, we get that a lot. People come here and goes, hey, I had that. I had that. Oh, man, I wish I still had that. I'd be a millionaire. I'm like, yeah, you sure would, but you wouldn't have played with it either.
And are you seeing this collectibles as a business model still going strong?
Yes. I mean, especially since COVID and stuff like that, people have a resurgence of disposable income, and we've had a big resurgence of popularity of Marvel and DC characters and stuff like that as well.
Well, I think a lot of people during the height of the pandemic, too, we were stuck at home. We cleaned out closets and attics, and people found a lot of stuff that they suddenly wanted to go sell and see what it was worth.
Exactly.
All right, nice, folks. We're going to take a look at some of these rare finds when Good Day Tampa Bay continues.
And it's time to check in with Charley Belcher, taking us back in time this morning. Hey.
Let me tell you another story. So, before Return of the Jedi was released, it was originally named Revenge of the Jedi.
Ooh.
Star Wars Empire Strikes Back, and then originally named Revenge of the Jedi. But then George Lucas realized, well, wait a second, Jedi don't take revenge.
Yeah, that's right.
We can't use that word. And they changed it to Return of the Jedi. But there were some marketing things out there already, which makes this particular Boba Fett incredibly valuable, because look at what it says there. It says if you save some box tops, you can get a free Revenge of the Jedi action figure. So because of that, it makes this action figure worth tens of thousands of dollars.
Wow.
Tens of thousands of dollars.
Put that back.
And I get to hold it.
Put it
I
back.
get to hold it my own way. But see, it's got to be sealed. I want to play with it. Stick around, everybody. We're going to take you to Big Redhead Vintage Toys in Seminole Heights, where you can find some rare finds like this.
And Charley Belcher's in Tampa this morning at Big Redhead Vintage Toys and Comics, taking us back, way back. We'll check in with him when we come back.
Good day, Tampa Bay. Happy Thursday to you. I'm Charley Belcher in Seminole Heights today. 5120 North Florida Avenue to be exact. Big Redhead Vintage Toys and Comics. It's a vintage toy shop with an emphasis on 70s, 80s, 90s toys. And Red here has things you can buy for $5.
Of course.
Definitely a lot of stuff under $10. But we're not going to talk about that stuff in this segment. We're going to talk about some of the rare finds that collectors out there will get very excited about. Let's start with the Star Wars. Yeah, I wonder. So I mentioned this in the teaser, a Boba Fett action figure, but because it says Revenge of the Jedi there before they changed the name, this is really rare.
It makes it pretty much a rarity and sought-after piece just for that sticker alone, but the item itself is one of the highest graded pieces that's available on the market today. So
you've had this graded by...
CAS, Collectors Archive Services.
So it is sealed in here. So what's the value of something like this?
Value on that's going to be somewhere between $12,000, and it could go into auctions up to $30,000.
$12,000 to $30,000. I love it. Now, what makes I mean, of course, I had this. I had Stormtrooper action figure. Why is this?
This is the very first production piece of the Stormtrooper. This is a 12-back A-card Stormtrooper from 1978. So the first toy lines that was produced.
I love the price on there. So you can still see it says $2.67.
And that was a deal back in the day.
What's this roughly worth?
That one on the low end is probably going to be around $7,000, and it could be upwards to $12,000 to $15,000 as well.
Oh my gosh. This is special because that's your toy.
That's the one toy I kept from my childhood, from like the late 70s there. That's an old Hot Wheels car, and then next to it is basically an example of what it looked like new back when I had it.
Particularly rare, or this is just your...
Not really rare. To me it is, because it's the one piece of toy that I have left from my childhood.
I love that. See, I saved way too much.
Yeah.
You can ask my wife. Now, you don't really carry new comics, but you do have some collectible ones. So I don't remember Superman taking on He-Man.
Yeah, that's how He-Man was introduced in the comic books. He was introduced through Superman in DC Comics Presents.
What's that worth, roughly?
The first appearance, probably around $5,000 to $6,000.
Oh my gosh! Before we run out of time, I got to show some of these. This is one of the most rare comic books on the planet. It is a #1 Fantastic Four.
Yep.
This one is actually signed by Stan Lee. It's a 7.5 grading, which is pretty good because these are hard to find in good condition. Give me the range of this one.
Oh, that one at auction right now could range from, I'd say, the low 20s up into the 30s, possibly into the 40s and 50s, depending on if you get two bidders going at it.
Yeah, $40,000, $50,000. I mean, this has been priced at even six figures at times. If you can get up to like a 9.0 or higher, you're talking $100,000.
Very few of those left in the world.
Wow, that's amazing. First appearance of Captain America?
Yep.
Back in the day, what's something like that worth?
I think that one's going to range, signed by Stan Lee, probably right around the $5,000 mark.
Wow. So, Jen, just so if I just did this, Jennifer, and said, okay, I will take all of this red, charge it to Jen's credit card.
You're not going to go far with that.
You're looking at a couple of $100,000, maybe.
Wow. Wow.
Declined. Stop,
Walter. You know me so well.
She's got a black card. Don't let her fool you.
If I had the money, it would all
didn't
be
say
yours.
debit card.
It would all be yours.
Oh.
But I don't.
Crazy. When we come back, the collectability of video games.
Oh.
And then later we're going to talk about the boxes things came in and
That's
now bringing
crazy.
a high price. So,
All right.
more collectible stuff.
We'll talk to you later.
Okay.
All right, we got to check in with Charley Belcher. Not sure if they have hoverboards there, but they got a lot of cool classic stuff.
Well, that's just it, Jen. When are we going to start seeing hoverboards show up in vintage toy shops?
Right.
Like, that's when you know you are of a certain age. In fact, I'm still having a hard time getting my head around the fact that video games are in a vintage toy store.
Nintendo.
How can video games be vintage? They just came out like a year ago, right? The Atari 2600? Or like 50 years ago. Stick around, everybody. We're having a good day at Big Redhead Vintage Toys in Seminole Heights. And yes, we're talking about video games and how everything old is very popular right now, except for me. Stick around, everybody. More Good Day Tampa Bay headed your way right after this. Good day, Tampa Bay. Happy Thursday to you. I'm Charley Belcher coming to you from Seminole Heights today. We are right on Florida Ave, just south of Hillsborough Avenue. You will find Big Redhead Vintage Toys and Comics. Do not adjust the color of your television set. That is not Big Redhead. We talked to Red earlier today. This is Joel, who is you're the video game aficionado. You're the expert.
For this shop, yes.
Yeah, we're watching one of those collectible shows, and they bring in the video game expert. That's you.
Yes.
For the purposes of Good Day Tampa Bay this morning.
Yeah.
And why is that? Why is this your specialty? Are you drawn to the vintage video games?
I am. Yeah, I've always loved it. It's a great connection to my childhood, and it just kind of carried into adulthood, and it became my thing.
It is a bit of a life acknowledgement when video games are in a vintage toy store that we're all maybe a little older than we realize.
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the collectability of these. We've spent a morning in entire stores devoted to vintage video games. It really is a thing, isn't it?
It is. It absolutely is a thing, and it's gotten more popular over the last few years. And
Joel, what are people looking for? Are they looking to play these games, or are they looking to put them on a shelf and remember and display the old stuff?
I think it's both. I think the people who are buying to collect are also buying to play. Some people just buy, even though they don't have a system, just because they remember the game.
Right.
They loved it as a kid, so they just want to put it on a shelf, so they collect in that way. But I think it's a good combination of both.
So this is an original Game Boy. This is the first kind of Game Boy that came out?
Yes.
The box is in great shape.
1989, I believe.
So
88, 89.
Is this playable?
Yes. Yeah, everything works. All the inbox stuff does work. We test it beforehand and make sure that you can actually enjoy it.
And I'm looking, man, it's got a price like $220 on it. I mean, they have held their value.
They absolutely have.
And then some. What in the world is that?
So this is something kind of interesting. This is a Soviet Famicom replica. Famicom was what came out in Japan and other parts of the world when the NES came to the U.S.
So when the Nintendo was here, this was in the rest of the world?
Similar, yes.
Okay.
But this would be considered a knockoff. But it is Soviet specific. This came out in the USSR in the early 90s.
And is the actual game in there?
Yes, it is still sealed the way it came. It's
So that's, you don't
Yeah,
buy that to
it's
play it.
interesting.
That's just a collector.
That's a collector. I would not advise buying it to open it and play it.
And I remember so many of us had the NES, we called it, the Nintendo Entertainment System. This one came with Duck Hunt and the little gun and everything. So this is that brand, like from back then?
Yes, yeah, everything's in there. It's from 1988. Yeah.
Wow. There you go, folks. And by the way, they buy, sell, trade here. They're just not looking for Funko Pops or Beanie Babies. But if it's from the 70s or 80s, they'll probably buy it. Stick around. We'll talk more about that when Good Day Tampa Bay continues. Happy Thursday, everybody.
And we are checking back in with Charley Belcher. Hey.
Hey, Charley.
Go Bulls. Go, Coach, go. Glad that he's in there. That's awesome. Hey, I texted both Walter and Jen, but you're busy doing your job and not responding to me. I wondered what your favorite toy was growing up, both of you. I was going to try to find it. Walter, did you have a favorite toy growing up?
I think my favorite toy would have been the Nintendo when I got the original Nintendo.
Good.
And then
Yep,
Duck
got you
Hunt, and
covered here, okay.
I wanted to hurt that dog so much when he laughed at me for not shooting the ducks.
Come on, laugh at you. Jennifer?
My favorite game, fittingly, was a game called Nightmare. But I used to love those little popples. I don't know if that's a toy. Popples?
Popples.
There were these little like stuffed animals that you could roll
not
up.
a lot of stuffed animals here. I got Power Rangers, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That was more your era.
Jen, you drove this segment right into the ground.
Sorry.
Speaking of games, no, I'll run it into the ground. Here's a game, the Omega Virus. No, thank you. We already played this game. We don't need the home edition. Thank you very much. Stick around. We are talking vintage toys. Some you've heard of, some you haven't. We're at Big Redhead Vintage Toys and Comics in Seminole Heights, and we're looking at some very valuable Transformers when Good Day Tampa Bay continues.
And Charley Belcher is taking us back in time. He's got more from Big Redhead Vintage Toys.
Good day, Tampa Bay. Happy Thursday. I'm Charley Belcher coming to you from Seminole Heights this morning, 5120 North Florida Avenue. You will find Big Redhead Vintage Toys and Comics. Let's get right to it. Got some more fun stuff to show you. That's Red, by the way. Not as big as he used to be, but used to have that nickname. Yep. Kyle and I are as big as ever, and we like it that way.
Yes, we do.
Kyle, you've been an employee here for...
6 years. Yeah, 6 years.
Good for you, brother.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Let's talk about some of this rare stuff you might not find just anywhere. What do we got here?
So this is the mail-away Sergeant Slaughter. You could tell it's in the bag, and then it's also signed by Sergeant Slaughter himself and Larry Hama. And Larry Hama is the one who did all of like the lore for G.I. Joe. That's
Very
a really cool piece.
Oh, nice. And so what's the value of something like this?
We'd say about like $3,000 probably.
Wow.
$3,000, yeah.
Let's talk about this little Hot Wheels, little mystery machine, but that's special. Why?
That is the Super Treasure Hunt. It has that rubber wheels, and then it is signed by the voice of Frank Welker. And that's a really cool piece as well, yeah.
Talking thousands, at least $1,500.
Yeah, about $1,500. Really cool, graded too.
The Transformers here. Now, this one was a very realistic gun. This was controversial at the time. They don't make things like this quite anymore.
No, they do not. Megatron is now a tank.
Yeah.
But this is a sealed G1 Megatron signed by Megatron's voice actor himself, right there, Frank Welker.
So what's that piece? Something like that worth?
We're thinking around like 15,000, something like that. Yeah.
And Red, before I run out of time, I gotta show, like we talked about. This is just a box.
Just a brown box.
That the Darth Vader collector case was sent to this toy store in.
Exactly, the shipper.
And now this is a couple $100.
Yeah, it's strange because this stuff is always thrown away. It's the first thing thrown away. They throw it away, then they put the toy on the shelf and sell it. So the shippers are really sought after now by super crazy collectors that just want the box that's shipped in.
That's crazy. That is crazy. And a couple more Transformers there, but really rare ones, right?
Yep, really rare. We have a Red Foot French signed Peter Welker, and then we have a sealed Transformer signed as well.
When are you open, Red?
We're open 7 days a week. We're open Sundays and Mondays from 12 to 5. We are open Tuesday through Friday from 12 to 6 and Saturday from 10 to 6.
Thank you very much, Red. And he is looking especially to buy toys from the 70s, 80s, really. No Beanie Babies, no Funko Pops. He's looking for that older stuff. If you do want to come in and try to sell us some of your attic wares, Walter Allen, he'll take them. And not a big online presence. He's not selling online. He wants you to come into the store and experience a vintage toy shop.
Now, Charlie, I don't know if you remember, pre-COVID, Sergeant Slaughter was in Studio B, and he gave me the Cobra Clutch. So I'm thinking a picture of that.
That's right.
I'm thinking of that, and then the toy.
You need this, brother.
You need this, brother. There it is. I'm just as terrified looking at the doll as I am. So I gave me the Cobra Clutch. All right, Charlie. We'll talk to you later on.
See ya.
Have a good one.